Love. Some would say it took a backseat when the pandemic forced us apart. As a family-run and proudly Canadian-owned company, Charm Diamond Centers saw the need to bring us together with tales of love and created the Canadian Love Map podcast. Since then, we've shared hundreds of real, uplifting stories that prove love conquers all. So thank you for listening. We couldn't do it without you. And remember, love starts here.
The whole idea of doing what we do is to make people happy. You know, we don't want people to be uncomfortable or, we just want to get in a room with a bunch of people, make them laugh, and forget about what's going on outside those doors for those 2 hours.
Welcome to the Canadian Love Map, a podcast that celebrates love stories of all kinds, presented by Canada's largest family-owned jeweler, Charm Diamond Centers. Hi, I'm Nancy Regan. This week's love story belongs to Bette and Maynard, a comedy couple from Cape Breton Island. Their story began back in the 1980s and started onstage as a friendship. But the laughter turned into love, and the rest is history. Their life together is an unqualified success story. For decades now, they've brought joy to audiences and each other. Bette and Maynard, welcome to the Canadian Love Map. You guys have been both cracking me up for years, and I know that there are a lot of other Canadians who will say the same.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
We're very happy to talk to you.
Yes.
Now, you're usually being interviewed about being funny, and today we're talking about your love story. How does that feel?
It's a little unusual.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? I'm very comfortable with that idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
And there's
good.
a lot of humor in it too, I suppose.
Well, yes, that's how we get by.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. What are the parallels to be drawn between what makes a great comedy duo and what makes a life duo?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to be able to trust the other person, because if something goes a little awry, you know that you've got your partner there to get things back on track. Same with comedy, same with life. It's kind of how we roll.
And we kind of take on different roles as well when we're doing shows. I'm more of the technical person
And logistics.
And logistics. And Bette's the creative person. She's the writer. And I'm the cook.
Very important. Very, very important.
When I say something funny, it's not from me. It's from Bette or Ed.
My brother Ed.
I say the funny words.
I love that. Have you ever felt a sense of competition between the two of you?
Only in pool.
Yes.
And Tarbish.
Yeah.
But not in.
That's about it.
Not on stage.
No, we don't. I've never felt that. I think because we've always been a pretty solid team. We were friends for many years before we ever were married.
Yes.
And we became a good team as friends, and we figured out where we fit when we perform.
And we could make each other laugh.
That was extremely important, and we still do that.
Yes.
Which is very nice. These many years later.
How many years has it been?
We're married for 26 or 27. Going on 27.
You for 26 and me for 27. No, I think it's 1994 we got married.
Yes.
So 26.
And we regularly forget our anniversary. One year we remembered it because we were walking down the boardwalk here in Sydney, and one of us remembered that Joe Cocker was playing in Halifax. I think I remembered that. And Maynard said, "Oh, right.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. It's the 21st. So thankfully, we both forget it. If just one of us did, that would probably be a little awkward. But those things, I think we're very fortunate that those things aren't extremely important.
we don't sweat. We don't sweat the small stuff.
Never.
That is a secret, I think. Okay, I want to go back to the roots of your relationship, but before we do that, I want to go back to the roots of your comic genius for both of you. Can you talk to me about what sort of role comedy played in your life? Did you grow into it? Were you funny from the start? How does it fit into your picture?
Well, comedy brought us together. I was doing my own thing. I'm a little bit younger than Maynard. Couldn't wait to get that in. And I was doing my own work and he was doing his. And then we did a show together, the Cape Breton Summertime Review. And that's when we started to be friends. And yeah, it all began with comedy, and hopefully one day we'll be laughing when it ends.
But in terms of comedy, I mean, you were doing comedy as a 3-year-old, weren't you?
Well, yes, I used to do shows when I was single digits and force all the women in the neighborhood, all the mothers, to come and watch. It was fun for me. Can't say the same for them. I'm sure they had other things they could be doing. I
was late starting. I was about 11 or 12, and we would put on shows for the kids at the Little Flower Orphanage. We would just steal all of our material directly from Ed Sullivan, and then and then do these shows. God, I can't even remember what they were,
but that's what you did back in those days. Yeah. For us, it was Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. We did all the British stuff. But I think that when we met, I think there was a mutual admiration of each other's work. And I think that's sort of what sparked a friendship between us. And when you find someone that you can relate to on stage, you want to do as much with them as possible.
And I also think that when you find someone whose humor clicks with yours, especially if comedy is such a big part of your life, that is so, pivotal.
It's huge. I think it gets people through a lot of boring times, hard times, challenging times, as sure. We know, as humans, how often do we rely on comedy to get us on through?
So tell me how the sparks started.
I don't know. It's kind of a gradual thing for us, I think. I cannot name, and I heard someone, pardon me, I heard someone say once that if you can't remember the genesis of a relationship, that's probably a good thing. I don't know what evidence they had, but I don't really know when we went from being friends to something more than that. It happened very gradually. And I think because our friendship is still so strong, there wasn't really a hard moment when it went, oh my God, this is something way different. But we did obviously have that moment.
We loved each other as friends for a long, long time.
I think we've loved each other forever.
Yeah, love you, huh?
Love you too.
I love that idea of there being something special about not knowing when the moment in time was that the romantic spark started, because there was such a foundation of friendship.
Yeah, that's been... Through the years, that has been hugely important to us.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've noticed sometimes if you're on the outside looking in at something, sometimes people treat each other they treat their friends better than their partners sometimes. So I think that's kind of been a bonus for us. I've just seen it happen. Sometimes it's easier to complain to your partner than it is to your friend. You somehow give them a little more room, a little more consideration sometimes. So we have both of those things in our relationship. I'm happy about that.
Me too.
Do you remember the first time you were actually in a skit or a show on stage together?
That would be the review, yeah?
It would have been...
I played your wife.
You played Mitzi, yeah?
That's when it happened.
I can remember one night we did a tour, and we were playing somewhere in North River, I think, somewhere way up on the Cabot Trail. And I remember there were a lot of flies in the room. And for some reason, I sort of drifted off. And Mitzi's line to me was, "Cecil, where are the kids?" And I was supposed to have an answer, but I had absolutely no idea what that answer was. So I said, "I have absolutely no idea, bye." And then she somehow dug me out of the hole.
And we've been doing that ever since.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll be doing a sketch and I will look at him and he'll know by the look on my face that I have blanked. So he will pick it up. You actually come to the rescue more than I do, truth be told.
Well, yeah, I'm the technician.
It is like being dance partners, though, a bit, isn't it?
It is very much so. Very much so.
What do you think it is about getting that laugh out of people that turns your crank?
You know, you sort of form a relationship, don't you?
Yeah.
With the audience. And once it's like meeting somebody, and then when you realize that you get on, they understand you, you understand them. It's like, wow, this is gonna be really fun. And also I love looking out at the audience and watching somebody elbow somebody, or a laugh will come and two people will look at each other, and you know, they're looking for someone to share that moment with. I feel that for me, that's a great gift to get from the audience. How about you, my dear? I'm talking too much.
I started doing comedy at St. Yvette's, not on stage, but at house parties, because I discovered that I could make my friends Peggy Goldie and Patsy Brewer just about fall down laughing. Just making things up, you know what I mean? And that was such a thrill. I did plays, but I wasn't doing comedy. And then when I finally got to do comedy in the Rise and Follies in 1977, well, that was just too much fun. It's great. Just loved it.
It is a little bit like being on a great date, having that kind of energetic exchange with the audience.
There is nothing quite like it. And when you do a line and it hits immediately and everyone starts laughing at once, there is, for me, nothing more thrilling than that. Like being on the stage, for example, at the Savoy Theatre in Glace Bay or the Cohen in Halifax, and you have that huge room, and there's just sometimes this wall of sound from the audience, this huge, huge laughter. It's very addictive. I'm not going to lie.
I can remember being on stage and doing a sketch that Bette had written for me for the first time. This was in 'Tis the Season 1, like 14 or 15 years ago. And I went out on stage and I knew the sketch was funny, but I didn't know how funny it was till the audience told me how funny it was. And I almost broke character because I was starting to get some of the jokes that Bette had written. Like I knew it was generally funny, but I didn't necessarily get the nuance until the audience told me. And I was like to myself on stage saying, oh my God, this is too funny. I'm gonna crack up.
What was the reaction of people who were your loyal fans when they discovered that these two characters they loved watching on stage actually were involved in a romance off stage?
We announced it at the Rebecca Cohen the day we got married. We didn't go to sound check, and we got permission to miss sound check. We got married 11 o'clock in the morning, and then we showed up at showtime, and I think Max announced it in the news.
I actually had forgotten that until you just mentioned it right now. But we got married at 11 o'clock in the morning at Halliburton House in Halifax.
Yeah.
And then did the summertime review that night at the Cohen. That's how dedicated we are to our work, by the way.
That's commitment.
I know. You know that your life, your comedy life and your romantic life are entwined when you get married on the same day as you do a show.
Yeah, middle of a tour, actually.
Yeah, it was.
So let me ask you this. In the marriage celebration at the Halliburton House at 11 o'clock in the morning, was it a serious affair, or did the comedy bleed into that occasion?
I think it was fairly serious. We had family there, of course, and a justice of the peace married us. And one of the things that he read was Bob Dylan, Forever Young, which was amazing to me because me and my siblings are huge Bob Dylan fans.
Yeah, and I've been a Dylan fan also, and the fact that we didn't request it, that it just showed up, was really nice.
But it was a fairly, we didn't joke around a lot. That was probably the only time in our lives we didn't joke around a lot. We were, we behaved ourselves.
Yeah.
My mother was there. That probably had something to do with it.
Is there?
Just once, behave yourself.
I would guess that as comedians, you have to confront the fact that everywhere you go, people in your regular lives, people expect you to be funny.
Sometimes that happens, yeah. And sometimes they're let down, I suppose. Now, do you know what? When we don't socialize a whole lot. We're not big on going out a whole big bunch. But when we get together with family and friends, we are not necessarily the funniest people in the room.
Oh God, no. Not
And that
close.
is for sure.
But you're taking notes always.
Absolutely.
Always.
And we have great audience members from our families.
Yes.
And so sometimes Bette will call one of her sisters just to read a sketch, just to get an idea. And I can hear them cackling in the back, like losing their minds. So they're great audience members.
Lucky me.
Tell me what you love most about your life partner.
Who wants to start? You want to start?
I'll start.
I say that as if there's a long list. Would you like to begin with your list?
You can go get coffee, Bet. Well, he just goes through the litany.
I'll go stir the sauce while you do that.
I love how funny she is. I love that about her. And I love how kind she is. And she will take time to talk to anybody. Sometimes it drives me crazy because we're in a situation where I want to go home and do almost anything else. And Bette will spend a half hour talking to somebody just because they want to talk to her. I love that, even though it drives me around the bend a little bit. But I love her for that.
That's very sweet. Is that it? Or do you have more things? Because I have been working on a book.
You have a long list? Keep it short.
Okay.
Because I only picked two, but there's more.
I love that Maynard can make me laugh my head off when I least expect it. He'll drop a one-liner and I will just lose my mind. And he is also, regardless of what he says, he's also extremely kind. And I love that. And he's the first person that I want to give news to. He's always the person I want to hang out with, always. It's those simple things, just I would much rather be with you than without you.
I feel the same. And I also feel that your list is a little bit too long.
Brevity is the soul of wit. I realize that now. I should have stuck to two things like you did.
I really love that you have in common the theme of kindness.
Yeah. Well, it solves everything, doesn't it?
Yep. And it's what the world needs right now.
Boy, do we ever. Well, the whole idea of doing what we do is to make people happy. We don't want people to be uncomfortable or, that is not a platform we want to use to get at someone or, we just want to get in a room with a bunch of people, make them laugh and forget about what's going on outside those doors for those 2 hours. We're just all in this together and we're going to have fun.
Absolutely.
Always. Yeah. We're very fortunate.
Yep.
And, the cooking.
And if you could write any future you wanted, what would it be?
Any future?
Yeah. If you could write the script for your future, the perfect future for the two of you, what would it be?
Well, this for me, just what we're doing now, forever and ever.
Yep.
Well, to the end of our days, and what we're doing now.
Hopefully.
In good health and with family and friends around. Because as much as we don't socialize, we do have a pretty good group of friends and our family always. And dogs, of course.
Yeah.
Cats and dogs.
The many dogs. I know you've had as many as 4 dogs at a time?
Four dogs and a cat at one time.
You're both nurturers.
I guess so. I guess we are.
Yep.
Good thing, because people know that if they have a situation with an animal and they don't want to deal with it, they know that if they come to us, we're going to solve that problem.
I think there's a TV show in there.
Yeah, probably.
That's great. I so appreciate both of you joining us on the Canadian Love Map podcast today. It's just been a thrill. And I can't wait to see what your partnership produces next.
You and us both.
And
does that work?
Thank you. Both? Yeah, I think so.
Thank you
very much for having us.
It was great.
Fun and easy.
And look, I'm coming to your house, but I want to know, what time do you eat supper? Because I'd really like to arrive in time for supper.
I would say if you're here by 7, you're good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a dream. Be careful what you wish for. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for listening to the Canadian Love Map. If you love us, please subscribe and share. We'll be back next week with another love story to add to the map. This podcast is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, Canada's largest family-owned jewelry store. They are proud to be putting love on the map, and the staff at Charm Diamond Centers are thrilled to be a part of your love story too. So visit charmdiamondcenters.com or one of your local stores. Love starts here. This podcast is made possible by Charm Diamond Centers. It's hosted by me, Nancy Regan, and is produced and distributed by Podstarter.